Things are really hotting up in this year's competition, and where better to celebrate that fact than here in the Californian desert. It's time for Heat 4 of World's Strongest Man 2007. Welcome to the Joshua Tree National Park, 150 miles inland from the Californian coast and on the borders of the Mojave Desert. Now, 6 men have already qualified for this year's final, and in Heat 4, another British rookie, Jimmy Marcoux, will be aiming to join them. But this is going to be far from a walk in the national park. Say hello to the Dominator. Jimmy Marcoux and his fellow athletes in Group 4 have to face up to arguably the most complete strongman of all time. Poland's Mariusz Pudzianowski is going for a record-equaling 4th title here in the USA. And after losing his crown to Phil Pfister last year in Sanya, Mariusz is ever so slightly keen to wreak his revenge in Pfister's backyard. Good luck, lads. Taking you through all the action in the first event, your commentators Nick Halling and Colin Bryce.
And what a tough group this is. What a tough way to start as well. It's the medley, the duck walk. You've got to carry 495 pounds of iron between your legs. And as if that wasn't bad enough, you've then got to pick up 2 barrels and carry them the length of the course. And those barrels are half full of water. And when that water starts sloshing around, balance and grip are very difficult. Jimmy Marcoux, originally from Albania, but these days makes his home in the UK, finds himself in a very tough group indeed. Boris Haraldsson, continuing that rich tradition of Icelandic strongman. It says everything that these two are probably the outsiders of the quintet. Haraldsson gets the fast start. Marcoux looking to try and keep the momentum going. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And it's how you grip here. The guys with the longer arms tend to do better with this because there's very little to actually grip. Oh, look how Haraldsson's holding it, but it didn't work, and he's had to change his grip.
But he's using gloves as well, Nick. That's not a good idea when it's just so slippy, that barrel.
And one of the nose capillaries has gone from the Icelander as well. Blood seeping from the nose. It looks like he's caught one from Lennox Lewis.
Well, Jimmy Marcoux's doing well. He came into this contest with a happy-go-lucky attitude, just really happy to be here after finishing 4th in Britain's. And look at this, it's he's giving it the hip thrust technique. That's a new one.
Well, Marcoux's doing it the way it should be done. And is he pushing it or is he lifting it up? Oh, I'm not sure about this. Very generous officiating there has allowed Boris Haraldsson to cross the line in 51.9. But I'll tell you what, that was close to a disqualification.
Well, I think the camera on the line there has shown us actually it was an excellent decision in the end.
Well, maybe the officials are going to Reykjavik for their holidays this year, who knows. It was certainly close. Jimmy started well, ran out of gas. Boris took the unorthodox route and got away with it. Now out come the big guns. And they don't come any bigger than the 6'7" Dave Ostland from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Dave Ostland,
who seems to have brought his whole family here from the Twin Cities. Quite why you'd want to leave Minnesota in midwinter and come to Southern California, or I can't imagine.
Lane 2, Janne Virtanen from Finland.
A little shrimp at 6'5", but 7 years ago he ruled the world.
Lane 3, 3 times world's strongest man, the great Mariusz Pudzianowski from Poland.
Just to prove that size doesn't matter, he doesn't make 6 foot, 5'11" officially, but 3 times the world's strongest man, the Dominator. But he was beaten last year, and he was beaten in a Super Series event this year in LA by the man on the far side there, Dave Ostland in yellow. So this fella has got to prove that his crown isn't slipping, and he's in 3rd place here, but he's made that up and more. Terrific effort with that first barrel from Pudzianowski, who's flying down the course, and if he can do the same with his barrel, and look at what he's doing with it, making mincemeat of it. Stepped out of his lane, but they'll let him have it, and he's laid down a marker. They all have. That was blistering.
Just incredible. And I was watching these guys warm up with the barrels, and it was Dave Ostland who looked easily the best. think he was pretty confident coming into this event as well. He's so tall and has such long arms, Ostlund, but how fast was Pudzianowski running back for that second barrel?
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So, Marius, 1 year without the title, World's Strongest Man. You looked really focused now, so fired up. How hard has this year been for you?
Yes. Last year I am second, very close. Beat me, guy from US. This year, come to US and come back to my place.
No real surprises in the first event then. Pudzianowski loves loading races and he looks to be in control. Ostlund and Virtanen also look impressive, but that was a tough introduction for Jimmy Marcoux. He'll have a chance to make amends, though, in the next event. Coming up is the agonising Hercules hold.
Welcome back to Southern California and Anaheim, the home of Disneyland, but there's nothing Mickey Mouse about this next event. It's the Hercules pillars. They drag your body in half. Over 700 pounds in weight. You've got to hang on to them for as long as you possibly can. Let's meet the 5 men hoping to defy gravity.
Jimmy Marcoux, England. Janne Virtanen, Finland.
Boris Haraldsson, Iceland.
Dave Aslan, USA.
Mariusz Pudzianowski, Poland.
From England, Jimmy Marcoux.
Well, poor old Jimmy has to go first. That is no advantage at all. Still pretty new at this level of strongman. I mean, he is running with the big dogs here, so any kind of performance here is a bonus for Jimmy. Realistically, you think when you're in with the likes of Pudzianowski and Ostlund and a former champion like Janne Virtanen, you're here for experience. You're not expected to come in the top 2.
Well, it was just a couple of seasons ago that he was up in a northwest London gym, and I actually stumbled across him and couldn't believe how strong this guy was. Here we are 2 years later at his first contest for World's Strongest Man, and I bet you this won't be his last.
He's looking serene going through 30 seconds. There it is, but the trouble is with this event, you feel great and then suddenly the tank hits empty. A minute is a fantastic time. 45 seconds is not shabby. 40 seconds is okay.
Well, ever smiling, isn't he? It's a decent time, Nick.
He looked great after 30 seconds. You thought he could hold this forever, and then suddenly, boom, it's all gone. Look, no problems at all, and then suddenly, no, that's enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Poland, Mariusz Pudzianowski.
A man whose name is pronounced many ways around the world. All you've got to know is he is the Dominator. Mariusz,
are you ready?
Will certainly be looking for a big score here. And unusually for Mariusz, he hasn't got the advantage of going last, so he knows what he's got to beat. He's got to make a decent effort at this, otherwise the other guys that are coming could actually blow by him.
Well, I think he's supremely confident in this kind of event, as he is in most events. In fact, I think he's just got tanning oil on. He's coming out for a little suntan here. He's just got to zone out. 20! Make it happen.
And that is part of the secret of this. This is a mind-over-matter event. You've got to just try and tell yourself you're in a happy place, everything's okay, whilst it feels like your arms are being ripped out of their sockets. Jimmy's time is about to go.
40!
He's up to 40. Most competitors like to hear the time getting called out in 10-second increments. Some don't. 46.33. He's done better, and he'll have to wait and see if that's good enough here.
Probably a good chance he didn't push it there. He didn't want to tear any calluses, any lumps of skin on his hand. And he wasn't totally psyched up. You can see by his face, he's in 4th, if not 3rd gear at the moment.
Is that tanning lotion or is it sweat? Well, it might have started out as one, but it ended up as the other.
From the United States of America, Dave Ostlund.
A young man who gave up a promising career in real estate to take part in strongman. And his whole family seems to be here. There they are, Mum and Dad.
Indeed, it was his dad's family business back in Minneapolis that he was involved in, and he's gone full-time in the last 2 years. Full-time training, will it be full-time results?
Now, how do these long limbs of Dave's match up in an event like this? Is it an advantage or a disadvantage?
You know, it actually doesn't matter at all, because these guys get measured up the day before. You can see he's got maybe 2 or 3 links of chain because he has such long arms before it hits the pillar. The shorter guys like Markku, maybe 6 or 7 links of chain. So everyone has the same angle.
The same degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Dave is suffering in the heat here. 40.56 is the first milestone, and then Maris is 46, but he's holding it together, but starting to slip. He can't fall behind Jimmy, but he does. That's big points lost. Great news for Jimmy Markku. Terrible news for Dave Ostlund. That's daylight between him and Pudzianowski. Next up, Boris Haraldsson, who carries the weight of a nation's expectations on his shoulders.
Last January, I had a serious spinal injury, and my leg went numb for a few months, and I couldn't really walk properly. So I took 2 months off and went to England to train with Terry Hollands. I left my family back home. I have 2 kids and a girlfriend. It's been hard, but I really needed to get out and get my head straight for the World's Strongest Man. Having 2 former champions 4 times each, John Paul Sigmarsson and Magnus Ver, it means a lot to me. That's why I try to do my best for my country. I'm here representing Iceland. To hoist the trophy would mean everything to me. Obviously, that's my future goal. In 3 to 5 years, I'll hit my prime and be good enough to do it.
Bad start for Boris in a very tough group. You'd have to think Pudzianowski is going to be one of the qualifiers. Dave Ostlund would be favoured as well, but a former champion in Jani Virtanen, he knows the way to the finish line. So Haraldsson, having made a bad start, needs to pick up big points right here, right now. 46.33 is his target. The first target, though, is Ostlund's 37.21.
But he's almost his own worst enemy. He's just so hard on himself. He's so desperate to win this title.
So many great Icelanders down the years. We always think of guys with perms, not shaven-haired Icelanders. You know who I'm talking about. Oh, Boris, what's he thinking here? 33.69 is terrible. Absolute disaster for Haraldsson. And after those first 2 events, it's highly unlikely now that Iceland is going to be represented in this year's World's Strongest Man. Well, you saw his own view on that. Very disappointing.
Boris Haraldsson's time is 33.69 seconds.
And that's not good enough at all at this level. It's great for Jimmy Markku, by the way, who remains second behind Pudzianowski.
Jani Virtanen.
Well, mate, get ready for the master. Jani Virtanen in the old days was just unbeatable at this kind of event.
And with Jimmy Markku between Pudzianowski and Ostlund, if Virtanen can get past Jimmy, he's going to make up good ground on Ostlund in that little duel for this unofficial second spot. So let's watch the times here. Ostlund 37.21, Markku 40.56. If he gets past that, he might have Pudzianowski in his sight. But let's do it 1 hurdle at a time. And he's bowed in the middle a little bit. I thought these guys had to stand up pretty straight.
No, it's quite all right. He's just got to keep his head up. That's the only rule here. He's just sucking the air in now. He's got his old pal Jouko Ahola behind, head of equipment, 2 times World's Strongest Man from Finland as well. And I can hear a little bit of finish between the 2 of them.
Well, he's gone past Haraldsson. Pudzianowski very interested. Checking the stopwatch. He's gone past Ostlund, but he doesn't go past Jimmy Markku. Now, that's interesting. That's a missed opportunity for Virtanen. That's a point dropped.
Big surprise, and you can see by Marius's face that he's pretty shocked as well.
Another win for Pudzianowski, but more importantly, Jimmy Markku is up and running with a very creditable second place. Despite all that training, though, Boris Haraldsson is looking shaky. Full marks for Pudzianowski, but nobody ever really expected any different. 4 points for Markku puts him within striking distance of a qualifying spot. Ahead of him, the experience of Virtanen and Ostlund. Now, our athletes are the only unusually shaped constructions out here in California. Equally as impressive are these intriguing Monzo granite rock formations. formed millions of years ago by rising globules of molten lava. Now, Mariusz Pudzianowski's physique didn't take quite as long to create, but it's no less solid. Let's head back to Anaheim to see if anyone can halt the man they call the Dominator.
Yes, here endeth the geology lesson. Let's get back to the strongmen, the real strongmen. And it's a very interesting heat we've got going here as we continue. The action, Pudzianowski in front as we expected, but quite a race for second. Maybe the overhead lift will start sorting out the contenders from the pretenders. You know the deal. You just got to lift that log, which 175 pounds over your head as fast as you can, as often as you can, in 75 seconds.
Haraldsson from Iceland.
The Icelander is the only man detached from the pack. Realistically, Boris needs maximum points out of the next 3 events to have any chance when we get to the stones at the finish.
Down.
Historically, a very good presser, Boris. He needs to be here.
Down. This is just so much more awkward than an ordinary bar in a gym. These guys have to deal with this large lump of wood. Down. Wobbles around, it's very long, very awkward, and Haraldsson, he's putting out a good total.
Well, you can take a break, and sometimes it's worth just refocusing and regrouping and trying to put another 2 or 3 on top. But this is a long, long interval here for Boris Haraldsson. And he seemed out of sorts right from the start of this. He did a terrible medley to open up. He was no better in his second event, and here he is just taking a deep, deep breath.
Well, I think actually it's probably not bad tactics, because once he's got it to his shoulders, he doesn't have to put it down again. He can knock another 3 or 4 out here. Have a good total for the others to chase.
Well, there's the 3. Is there any more? He really took his time there. And it's produced a dividend, as you so rightly say, Colin. He's put another 4 on top of that, and if another one here really would be a bonus, but I think that's too far. 13 is not bad. Is it going to be good enough for maximum points, though?
Boris is shouting and cheering, and you can tell when Boris is happy with it, you know it must be pretty good. He knows what a good log press takes, and he's right up there with the best, Boris. So we'll see what Pudzianowski makes of this event, as he can just about match him.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next contestants are Dave Osland from the United States of America, Jan-Evert Allen from Finland.
How about this as a head-to-head? Both these fellas equal second. There's Team Osland. Not hard to spot them in a crowd. And these two are going against each other with Jimmy Marcoux tucked in just behind them as well. If Jimmy can get a job done here, he stays very much in contention. But realistically, you are now looking at the 2 guys that are battling for 1 spot. Runner-up to Pudzianowski, you would think. So we're going head-to-head right here. Which one of these men can make a statement? Haraldsson, 13.
Both very tall men, long arms, just not built for this kind of event. They're doing their best, and well, they could probably hear the score of the other man just next to each other. Oh, 7 and 9, and Osland's in the lead. I wouldn't have thought that would be the result at the beginning of this head-to-head.
Got 35 to go.
There you heard, just over 30 seconds to go. They'll take a long, long pause, just as Haraldsson did. Haraldsson was able to put 4 more on after he took a break. Virtanen's going to need all that and more, because he trails Osland by 2. Now he trails by 1. He's pulled 1 back. Osland is struggling. He's really struggling. Can Virtanen draw level? Osland, has he found another one? They looked long and hard and gave it to him. That's probably going to be enough.
5 seconds to go.
Dave Osland with a vital lift there.
Time!
Well, he's got the honours over Jani Virtanen, so he will cement second place unless Jimmy Marcoux now can come in and beat Osland, in which case all bets are off.
Well, I bet Jimmy Marcoux can. He's a great log presser. But Osland, he's backing up that result he did in the Super Series when he managed to actually beat Pudzianowski overall in 6 events. He's shown that it wasn't just a fluke. He really has worked on his weak events, and they're now maybe not great, but they're pretty good, the weak events.
And this is good news for Boris Haraldsson, by the way. He'll pick up points on both these two.
Mariusz Pudzianowski from Poland.
Going without the shades in this Southern California sun. Oh, Mariusz, he's such a rebel. Look
Jimmy
at that.
Marcoux.
Here's the
from
copycat.
England.
Jimmy Marcoux thinks, well, if that's good enough for Mariusz, it's good enough for me too. Don't get sun like this in North London, though, Jimmy. And now Marius has slipped him on at the last minute. Now, is that some kind of kidology against his opponent? Anyway, 13 is the target. Ostlund had 10 as the number 2 guy, and Pudzianowski is flying. Marku doesn't want to try and match him step for step. He just needs to make sure he gets past 10 first of all, and if he can knock off Haraldson's 13, that really will be a bonus, and this is good from Jimmy.
Well, let's remember, at Britain's Strongest Man, Jimmy Marku was the best log presser by a long way amongst the Brits on these same logs as well. So he's got experience on them, but is this a lesson from the master?
Well, Pudzianowski got the 14, so that wins unless Marku can step up. Marku goes past Ostlund. That's big points. Now, can he get past Haraldsson? Can he get to 13? This will be a huge bonus for Marku if he can get one more lift. Pudzianowski needs nothing. Unfortunately for Jimmy, he can't quite get that 13th, I don't think. There is still time, but the way Jimmy is looking, that's 12 and out. That'll be good for 3rd place. But if he can get one more lift, Marku, he goes joint 2nd and one more precious point. So it's worth the effort. Come on, Jimmy, what you got?
5 seconds!
5 seconds for one lift. Come on, Jimmy. That's big. That is really big.
Time!
And Jimmy doesn't know that the clock's run out on him. Otherwise, he could have had sole possession of 2nd place. As it is, he goes joint 2nd, pushes Ostlund down to 4th, and Virtanen down to 5th. And Jimmy Marku is very much in the mix in the race to finish 2nd here. No question who's going to win it, but what about this from Jimmy Marku?
Well, Marku did very well there, but Pudzianowski just so dominant.
Bill Kazmaier told me that you were going to do 18. Did he give you money?
Yes, of course, my friend tell me, Marius, you have 15, I will give you 100. I give you 18. Three reps more.
Very good job. Congratulations, Marius.
Thank you, thank you. I am the best. I am champion.
18 reps and $100 richer. Good luck getting the money from Bill Kazmaier, though. Jimmy Marku might be a little disappointed not to get past Boris Haraldsson in one of his favourite events. Pudzianowski still top of the pile then. Marku has moved into 2nd place ahead of the American Dave Ostlund, but there's still only 2 points separating the bottom 4. Well, it doesn't look as though anyone's going to be able to halt Pudzianowski's charge at the moment. He is desperate to avenge his defeat at the hands of the American Phil Pfister in last year's final, and at the moment he looks every bit as spiky as these little chaps here. Guys, sharp you may be, when it comes to lifting heavy objects, useless. Welcome back to the 4th qualifying heat of World's Strongest Man 2007, where Britain's Jimmy Marku has given himself an excellent chance of qualifying for the final. Now, he dominated the next event at Britain's Strongest Man back in July, and a performance like that here, and his chances of qualifying for the final go from good to great.
Well, it's the squat lift up next for our 5 contenders. Actually, it's 4 contenders for one spot because Pudzianowski is up and running, and there is very little to choose between the next 4 men, so this squat lift could be important. It's the usual time limit, 75 seconds. The weight just keeps getting heavier as those barrels get rolled in. Boris Haraldsson, with that great effort in the log lift, has put himself back in contention. He's within touching distance. Even though he's last, he's only a couple of points adrift of 2nd place, and he's a very, very accomplished squat practitioner.
Great depth as well. He's slamming it down, almost getting a bounce with the machine off the bottom. He's got world records in the Playboy squat, Boris, so he's got some mean leg power. Look at this, the 1st, as quick as the 5th and the 6th.
I don't even want to know what the Playboy squat is. We'll draw a veil over that one. But he's not playing, is he? What a time.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, he does have something to shout about. A time of 22:83. Oh, he says it was nothing. It was. It might be 5 points.
Well, Boris really needs to get a little more psyched up for these events, doesn't he? That was great. Great depth, great power. Good event for Boris.
Boris is right in the mix now. What a fascinating battle it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, Janne Virtanen from Finland.
Dropped back to 4th after his problems with the log lift. Can't afford any more 5th place finishes now. But how do you follow Haraldson?
Well, despite his rather long and slender technique, he's got very strong legs, Yanni. Actually prefers this to the deadlift.
He's flying. 22.83 is a very fast time. But he's got a shot. He's got a chance at it. Just slowing down here. That might be crucial. Can he get that 7th rep? Can he put it down? Oh, is he going to make it? Yes, he does. Just outside 22.83. And he wants to know the time straight away. 25.10 it is, Yanni. It's not bad, but it's not good enough to knock off Haraldson, and maybe that's why he's disappointed.
This is amazing. 2 men down. Both have done all 7 barrels in 25 seconds or under. Heat 2, only Pope did it in over 30. 1 man did all 7 in that heat.
So the heat is on for Jimmy Marcoux. He's not short of self-confidence, but this is the first time he really is testing himself in the highest class. And currently in 2nd place as well, but he's going to have a job to stay there.
Well, I did perform very well in Britain's, but I wasn't very happy with my result because I had a slight injury with my calves. When I found out I'm going to compete against Maja Pudzianowski, Yanni Vermette and Boris and all those guys, Davy Osland, and I thought, well, it's going to be great for me because I can stand myself and just see where I stand against those guys. I'll be happy if I go through to the final because I stand a very good chance to top 3rd or 4th in the world. Well, he's very strong and he's 3rd time world's strongest man, but I'm very confident with myself and I think I can have a good go with him. Definitely all my events will be the Scots, and I think I'm going to beat anyone stand against him because I'm very confident. Scots is my favourite event. I train quite hard in it and I think I'm pretty most unbeatable.
He really fancies himself in this event. There's Jimmy Marcoux, but Haraldson 22.83, Virtanen 25.10. He is going to have to fly. And there's no question about getting 5 or 6 reps here. You've got to get all 7 and then get a time as well. It's a fast start. There's 4.
It's unbelievable. It's deep as well. It takes him about 2 seconds to do 1 squat.
This is unbelievable stuff from Jimmy Marcoux. If he can complete the deal, can he do it? Unbelievable from Jimmy Marcoux.
Jimmy Marcoux!
We thought Virtanen's 25.10 was fast. We thought Haraldson's 22.83 was phenomenal. What do we say about 20.83 from Jimmy Marcoux?
The question is, how can you do it faster? I guess we'll have the answer in a minute because Pudzianowski's about to have a crack, but amazing stuff.
So, Jimmy, you know I bet dinner on you winning the squat today. You think that will hold up against Marius?
Well, I don't know. He's quite strong and fast, but be surprised if he beat that time.
Well, do you think you have a chance to reach the final now?
Got 2 not very good events for me. Kick toast. I have big legs and short. It doesn't help, but certainly going to have a go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Osland from the United States of America.
Home advantage for the big man from Minneapolis, but those long arms, those long legs, he's got to make this contraption travel further than anybody else. And with time being such a factor in this one, I wonder how significant that might be. And Dave knows he needs to fly, but he's taking this real steady.
Well, he almost offered the first rep too much respect there. Now he's getting into his groove. He's attacking this hard, bouncing it off the floor, using the equipment as he should do.
I think he's left this way too late. Dave may finish all 7, but even if he does, he's in last place with Pudzianowski to come. And he settles for that. He knows. Well, no, is he going? No, he says 6 is it. Disappointing for Dave Osland and his campaign. Despite having half his family here, it's tailing off for Dave.
Well, he was never a great squatter, Davey. He's worked harder on it in the last couple of years. He's got bad knees. He's a tall man like Yanni, but doesn't have the same kind of leg power.
Mariusz Pudzianowski from Poland.
And the deal with Mariusz is, even though he's got a healthy lead, and he's probably almost certainly going to make the top 2 here, he never likes to lose an event. He takes it as a personal slap in the face. So here you go, Mariusz. 20.83 is your time. He's certainly scuffing off meaning business.
Well, if he does get beaten by Jimmy Marcoux, guess who's the mug who made the bet with Sven? I'm about to lose dinner.
Hey, that dinner, that's under some threat here. 20.83 is the target. Oh, 21. 38. That's actually terrific news for Jimmy Marcoux because it puts Pudzianowski in second and it knocks Haraldson down to third. So these two have both got something to smile about.
Oh, sweet, sweet victory for Marcoux, that.
It's your second of all. It's your second. Good enough.
Yes, indeed. Pudzianowski forced into second place in the squat by that confident display from Marcoux. The Englishman more than living up to his claim of being unbeatable in the squat. Marcoux is now 4 points ahead of his nearest rival, Boris Haraldson, and well clear of the much-fancied Dave Ostland and former world's strongest man, Janne Virtanen. Quite a display in his debut appearance. Now, these weird and wonderful-looking plants are what this national park gets its name from. They're Joshua trees, stars of an album by U2, and more than capable of withstanding anything that this desert can hurl at them. Temperatures in excess of 105 degrees to as low as -20. All in all, pretty tough little customers, not unlike Jimmy Marcoux, who is more than holding his own against Mariusz Pudzianowski. To see if he can maintain his charge, let's head back to Huntington Beach for the next event.
Well, it's a sort of combination of shot put and high jump, I suppose. Not that you have to jump that thing, you just got to get those barrels over it. There's a 90-second time limit to get all 10 barrels, each of which weighs 50 pounds. That wall is 13 feet high, and the first two feel like feathers, and then you start to feel the weight a little bit. And I wonder how this man is feeling the pressure, the weight of expectation, perhaps. Jimmy Marcoux from North London in second place seems to be enjoying himself out here on the beach.
He doesn't look too nervous, does he? Amazing for a debutant to be so cool.
When you've got the likes of Haraldson, Virtanen and Ostland in your slipstream, you know, what's he... ooh, dear, this is a bad start. This is not a good start at all.
Well, I was watching him in training. He didn't get one over. In fact, this is as close as he's been to getting it over. I guess that's why he was smiling. He knows this is a stinker, and he's just accepted the fact.
He's not the tallest of guys. You know, the guys that do this technique between the legs, they're usually the long-limbed fellas that can actually get the barrel comfortably between their legs, and Jimmy's a short guy in this field.
Of course, as you look at any thrower in the world, they've got long arms, long legs, high jumpers as well. He's got one over. It's like he's won an Olympic gold medal.
Well, it's almost like he's settled for this, that he's not going to do very well. What's he doing? You know, it's getting some laughs. I'm not sure if it's legal or not, but now he's just playing to the crowd. And it's kind of tough for Jimmy in a sense, but he knew going in. I mean, he's had such trouble with this in practice that it was never going to be his event. It was always going to be his Achilles heel, and he's not even had a real go at it. I'm not sure it would have been different if he had been competitive, because he just can't do this.
No, I mean, the only way Jimmy's going to get better than this is if we take him home and stretch him on the rack for next year. It's just not his event, and, well, let's hope if he makes it to Worlds. Hey, over with a second. Next year he doesn't get this event. That's what he's got to hope for, really.
Well, 2 is perhaps 2 more than Jimmy expected to get in this one. That's a real shame. But, don't try that one at home. In fact, don't try any of this stuff at home.
So, Jimmy, trying to bend the rules there a little, did you?
I did. I hope I don't get disqualified for that.
Well, it was a great show anyway. What's the problem in this event for you?
The thing is, I'm a bit short and got very thick legs, big calves, so I can't swim the bar underneath my legs. So.
But in the future, you think it's possible to train to be good in this?
Well, yeah, it was definitely. If I had to do it next year, I would definitely do Overman and fast time as well.
Mariusz Pudzianowski from Poland.
Well, we can forget about laughs now. Pudzianowski will not be smiling. Pudzianowski doesn't like losing an event, and he's still coming off the squat in second place. And probably seething about that privately, not that he'd tell anybody. Oh, flicking him up like it's a bag of washing or something. These are 50-pound barrels.
It's just incredible, isn't it? There's nothing this man can't do. He's only 5'11", and as we know in strongman terms, that's not that tall, but it hasn't hindered him, has he?
He's finally missed one. The curse of the commentator again. Just as you were singing his praises, he puts one into the tin, and there's another one in the tin. Well, this gives the others hope. Haraldson, Virtanen and Östlund.
But he's got the fitness to recover. Look at that. Almost on his head there. I'm sure he'll do this one as well. Marius just never seems to get tired, does he?
Well, he recovered very well indeed. 47 seconds, just over, for Pudzianowski.
Well, it was a great technique, and he really needs to lay off the cakes, doesn't he? He's looking a bit chubby, Marius.
Whatever he's eating, I need some of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Janne Virtanen from Finland.
And now this is where it gets interesting, because Jimmy Markku currently occupies second spot, but he's going to get just 1 point here. So for Virtanen and Östlund and Haraldsson to follow, they're in their own private little duel here. Big points here could put you back into second place with just one event to come, the Atlas Stones.
Now, I was watching Yanni in training, and well, he was only just clearing each time. I know it looks like he's being professional, and there you go, the first mistake. For someone so tall, Nick, it's quite disappointing how weak his pull is.
Well, if it's all about height, Dave Östlund really can do some catching up here. The 6'7" American, the biggest man in this field.
You know, this kind of event's all about range of movement, isn't it? If you've got a very long range of movement, you've got a lot of time to apply pressure and build up the speed, just like in throwing. But Janne Virtanen doesn't seem to realise that.
Well, he's beaten Jimmy's tally of 2, but I think he's going to struggle to get much beyond 4 here, the way this is going, as we come up to a minute. And this is a disaster for Virtanen. I've got a feeling we may not be seeing the champion of 7 years ago in this year's World's Strongest Man final. He gives up on 4. Looks to the skies as if to say, why me? Why not today?
I mean, to be just 2 kegs ahead of Jimmy Markku's pretty much unforgivable for a man knocking on the door at 6'6".
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Östlund from the United States of America.
And it opens the door for this fella, with Boris Haraldsson still to come. Dave Östlund loves this event, but as we've just seen with Virtanen, it's not just about height.
Oh, there it is.
Good grief. If this was 15 feet, he'd be clearing that wall. Watch out for Pudzianowski's time, 47.05. This is under serious threat. Big points coming up here for Dave Östlund. He's going to be right back in the picture. That one only just cleared. Is he starting to run out of steam? Forget that. If he just knocks these 2 off, he's going to be in first place. And he's still got about 15 seconds left. And he does it ridiculously easy. We'll have to wait for the official rounded up time on that one, but I can tell you without checking the stopwatch, Dave Östlund just went into first place. 34.33 is the official time.
Well, that's exactly what Östlund needed after a pretty poor Hercules hold, and then obviously being the worst squatter in this group as well. This is a real confidence booster for him.
Boris Haraldsson from Iceland.
So Boris Haraldsson had such a terrible start. We've more or less written him off after 2 events. But here he is, storming back now. He's got to watch Östlund and Pudzianowski's time. But it's pressure off in a sense, because all he needs to do is get 5 barrels to confirm third place. So he should still be in very good shape as we go into the last event.
Oh, this is really quick. He's got a history of throwing in Iceland. Does shot putting, does the Highland Games there as well, believe it or not. And, well, that was his lowest one yet.
Uh-oh. Yeah, it went very, very smoothly through the first 6. The 7th only just cleared. Pudzianowski's time, 47.05. He's not going to catch Östlund, and I don't think he's going to catch Pudzianowski. And he's already looking as if to say, well, I've got third place. Do I need to bother doing any more?
No. I think his look there is, I'm not going to win this event. I could well have blown my chances of getting to the finals. That's what that look is. You know, he did 6 barrels in 18 seconds. He just shot his bolt early.
Disaster for Jimmy Markku in the keg toss. Could he have done any better with a more positive approach? Pudzianowski, of course, never out of the top 2, but that could be an invaluable victory for Dave Östlund. The Dominator qualifies for yet another final and will be odds-on to regain his title. Markku occupies second, but he has the man from Minnesota breathing down his neck, and the next event should suit the big American. After the break, find out who will join Marius Pudzianowski in the final, as Jimmy Markku and Dave Östlund go head-to-head in the Atlas Stones. Welcome back to the Joshua Tree National Park here in California, where things couldn't be tighter for the Englishman Jimmy Marcoux. He currently occupies one of the 2 qualifying positions, and all he needs to do is finish ahead of the American Dave Ostland in the final event to book his place in the final. That would be a remarkable achievement for Marcoux, given his inexperience at this level. Remember, this is his first appearance on the world stage. Taking you through all the action, Nick Halling and Colin Bryce.
Well, here we go with the signature event in strongman, the Atlas Stones. Those stones go up in weight. The plinths go down in height. But it's a cruel event because they just get heavier and heavier and they sap your strength. And we know that Pudzianowski is through. Effectively, it's a race to join him. Jimmy Marcoux and Dave Ostland are more or less going head-to-head on that one. Boris Haraldsson did have a slight mathematical chance, but unfortunately Haraldsson has had to withdraw from the stones, so it's a straight shootout between Marcoux and Ostland to join Pudzianowski in the final.
From Poland.
He's already through, of course. Would you expect anything else?
From Finland.
For the second year running, Jani Virtanen hasn't made the elite group of athletes.
Take your position!
That'll rankle with him, and it's fairly safe to say that his best days are now behind him. Still a major player on the stage, but unlikely ever to wear that mantle again. World's strongest man 7 years ago. Pudzianowski saying, I don't need this. What am I doing? Forget it.
Well, you know, he was touching his right bicep before this event as well. If he has any kind of little injury, little tweak to his biceps or tendons, there's no point doing it really, is there? It just risks the final.
Oh, if he needed points, he'd have done it.
Oh, you bet he would have.
But he didn't. He'd done all the hard work. He'd earned that event off. It's goodbye and thank you for this year for Jani Virtanen, and it's see you in the final for Mariusz Pudzianowski, and I'm sure those little tweaks and twinges will have been ironed out by then.
Well, Jani just finishing in style, a former champion, one of the greats.
But this is what it's all about. Which one of these men is going through, and I'm afraid in this event, size matters. If you've got the long limbs and the long arms, you've got a natural advantage. Jimmy Marcoux, nothing has stopped the smile off his face. Goodness only knows what he'll be like if he actually beats Dave Ostland here. But frankly, it would be a shock if he could pull that off.
Take your position!
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Marcoux's a great stone lifter, but Dave Ostland, well, he destroyed everyone just a couple of miles up the beach at Venice Beach to win that Super Series event just a number of weeks ago, and it was on this event. He's almost never beaten at stones, Ostland.
Marcoux's going well, but it's irrelevant because Ostland's ahead of him, and all Ostland needs now is one more stone, and he's in the final. And there it is, simple as that, and he kind of knew it, and there was an air of inevitability about it, and it was a strong time. Look at that, though. Jimmy Marcoux is not going to qualify, but he's beaten some very, very good men to claim third place overall. But it's Big Dave who overcame a wobble in the middle of this tournament that has qualified in second place when it looked like he might have shot himself in the foot. Thank goodness the stones came to his rescue, but what about Jimmy Marcoux? What a performance from him. There is no disgrace in coming third in this event.
Congratulations, Dave. You are in final of World's Strongest Man 2007. How do you feel now?
I'm very happy now. It was very tough these last 2 events. I was down by a lot, had to make up a lot of points, and it was a lot of pressure, but I did it, so I'm very happy to be going to the final.
Prediction in the final now?
I'd like to improve on my placing from 2 years ago and maybe be top 5 this year.
2 victories in a row for Dave Ostland, but Jimmy Marcoux forced into second spot. Pudzianowski, taking it easy and saving himself for the final, finishes outside the top 2 for the first time. It's Pudzianowski and Ostland that make the final, but neither man will be keen to face Jimmy Marcoux again next year. Jani Virtanen announced his retirement at the end of this heat, so we look forward to seeing you next year, Jani. In the end, it was just a step too far for Jimmy Marcoux in his debut appearance, but he'll be back better than ever next year, and given his development, he could be a real contender. Next up, it's the final qualifying round of this year's competition when Britain's strongest man, Terry Hollands, enters the fray and tries to win the biggest accolade in strongman. Until then, it's goodbye from California.
It's a kind of buddy movie, but they don't really like each other. Martin Lawrence and Steve Zahn star in the action comedy National Security, next on 5.